Hello, and welcome to the second episode, is it an episode? Of the Reactors Accessible Event Series. We three are your hosts and guests at the same time. How exciting is that? My name is Dona Sarkar. I lead advocacy for the Power Platform here at Microsoft. I am a brunette woman wearing a red dress with flowers on it, and I, as usual, have a cup of coffee the size of my head. What you don't see is that I have dyslexia, and I am learning all kinds of tools to hack it so I can be maximally productive. Up above is Henk Boelman. Henk, tell everyone who you are, your deal.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining. My name is Henk and I'm also a cloud advocate, but my focus is all around AI. And besides AI, I'm spending a fair amount of my time on to research how we can make things more accessible, trying things out, like basically what we're going to see all today.
And then also, I'm learning to do this. There you go. That's Rory.
Hi everyone. My name is Rory. I'm 4'1". I'm wearing a black shirt, brown hair with glasses. And I work with Donna to bring the Java advocates' wondrous development experience with the cloud advocates. I have achondroplasia, dwarfism, and I do accessibility talks in and around the programming ecosystems. I teach people to program for accessibility. And back to you, Donna.
I love that. So today we're going to cover a very important topic, which is how do you put on an accessible event? Last week we talked about different kinds of accessible events, why it's important to put one on. But today we're going to show you some very tactical tactics for all of the tools and things that exist out there to help you do that. So the show is going to be in 4 parts. All right, ready for this? 1, before the event, because it turns out the event doesn't start with the event, before the event. During the event, after the event, and if we have time, some takeaways and discussion amongst ourselves. So let's go ahead and get started with before the event. Rory and Henk, tell us a little bit about the accessibility of the website, because that's generally how people announce an event. So tell us about the importance of making sure that the website is accessible, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Donna. So one of the things that we do at Microsoft is that when we publish something to the world internet or a Windows app or even a product we have, we adhere to the Web Center for Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 AA compliance that says that it has to be accessible. And what we do is that we've created an accessibility tool chest that allows us to test that. So it's not only bolt on after the fact, we have it built into our DevOps systems, into our continuous integration. And one of the demos I want to show you, so I'm going to share my screen here, is a tool that we call Accessibility Insights. So let's go share the screen, and we're going to share the screen, and there we go. So what Accessibility Insights does, you should be able to see my screen. So this is a screen, and it's w3.org, and it's a bad and a good website side by side. So it's got the inaccessible and the accessible version. And you'll see here, if on the inaccessible version, they've done horrible things here. They've done no alt tags for an image. In the tags here, instead of a list item for HTML, they've gone and just created BR tags. So it looks like a list, but a screen reader can't read it. And if you click on the accessible version, what you'll notice, it looks exactly the same, but except you get alt tags for the images, and this is a proper list here. Now, what we do is we test that when we publish our websites, and you should also for your events. So we have a little Chrome and an Edge plugin here called Accessibility Insights for web, and we have it for Android. We have GitHub Actions, Windows, nearly every other tool. And you can do things like switch color on and off. You can do headings if you want to check screen readers. You can also check if you want to navigate it with a keyboard. We'll come back to that. But more importantly, you can see if you have any issues. So I'm going to switch on something called FastPass. There's assessment also, which is a long list that you can manually do. But the FastPass gives you an instant view of exactly what is wrong with your sites or if there's nothing wrong. So I've got the accessible websites here. So if I go FastPass, I shouldn't have any issues. No issues here. So that's great. So I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to go back to the inaccessible version of that. Now I'm going to click on fast past here, and we should experience a few issues. Yes, and we got some issues. Color contrast is wrong. The language isn't defined. There's no alt images here, and it will tell you how to fix it and where and how to know more about that. You can also export the results to a file or a system here. But more importantly here, if I minimize that, you can see here the before and after here gives me a visual representation of what the issue is here. Now I can click on an issue here and you can say, wow, the alt tags there isn't there. You can fix one of those. You can file the issue, and if you click here, it'll go straight to a GitHub repo. So it's tied into your alt tags. Let's go back there. You can inspect the HTML. And I must say, in one of the demos, I was so excited, I actually closed the StreamYard view while I was doing this, and but won't do that now. You can copy the failure details here. So it's really easy to get started. And we've also bundled this with other tools that I mentioned there before. So let's click on tab stops here. Now, the inaccessible one, they've gone in and changed the tab index of the page here. So if I go to accessible, and let me just make sure the tab stop is on here, you can see an accessible, I can tab stop through here, and I can check that I can actually navigate with my keyboard. That's great. And then if I go to the inaccessible website, and I click on here, and I click on tab stops, you can see it doesn't go anywhere. And I can take all of that and put it into manual GitHub issue tracking, but I can also take that entire process, because we've got the library for that, and I can put it into a DevOps process. So this is that site right now running on my own DevOps process here. It's running with a Java Maven build here that I've created an accessible pipeline. And it uses the Axe engine, which is the same engine that we partnered with DQ Labs to go in and get. It runs the Maven test against that site, and it's really easy to do for that though. So you can start off with the inaccessible version and go all the way through to the bolt-on, and also to be able to run it in a DevOps process. So that's how you check and test to make sure that you don't have any issues. And a little bit later in the show, I'll show you that if you can't change it, how to incorporate Immersive Reader into that to make sure you can create a immersive experience. Back to you, Donna.
Wow. Okay. So I knew about accessibilityinsights.io. I use the Windows app all the time for making sure Windows apps are accessible. But I didn't know about this keyboard shortcut, that all of the keyboard shortcuts are accessible and actually go somewhere thing. That is really cool. I had no idea. Look at us learning things in real time.
And watch when I click on, if I click on the assessment, watch that. Yeah. It gives you an entire guide, start new, on everything you need to know: keyboard, focus, landmarks, headings, repetitive content, and goes through all of that you can actually go in and click through that. So remember, at FastPass, 25%, most of your issues that you're going to pick up very quickly. But to really get an eyeball of that, you need to be able to do that accessibility checklist and get that WCAG 2.1 AA compliant. Even tells you there, this is the success criteria. So it's very detailed. Now, every time that I make a change as an advocate to Microsoft Docs or Learn, it runs against this. It has a DevOps process against there, and everyone gets that report to say, whoa, Rory is doing a good job, or Rory needs to work a little bit harder. So this is core to the culture of Microsoft to be and create accessible products.
This is really fantastic. I love it. And Henk, I know that in addition to making an accessible website, the social media aspect is really important, because that's how people even learn about your event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So I'm also really impressed how the DevOps line the DevOps pipeline works. I really want to see that how you do that more in detail. If we have some time, you have to show us later on. Like, do you actually deploy the website and then run it against it, and how does the results come back?
I'll do it even better. I'll do it live right now, and I can actually create the DevOps pipeline. You won't believe how easy it is, though, if we have time.
Okay.
We definitely should.
Goes on the list of things to do at the end.
Exactly. Yes, but also one important part of when you start your event is promoting your event. So that means banners on social media. That means advertisements in whichever media you can think of, emails, videos. So also when you're doing that, you have to keep certain things in mind. So the things I learned, I'm sure I've not covered them all, is like one thing. If you do videos, you have to add captioning.
Mhm.
So that is, for us at Microsoft, is easy, because if you can't check the checkbox, they will not publish it.
Right.
So that's perfect. But normally, sometimes you post it on your own social media and then you get retweeted. So then you want to make sure it is accessible, because I don't have the checkbox
Right.
on my social media. But then also, if you make a banner, you see a lot of time banners with text like up, down, from the left, from the right, all in caps, in very fancy colors. But you also have to check if those colors and contrasts are readable for everyone.
Right.
So for the web, I have a really cool tool that just checks all the elements on contrast to see if this is accessible, and you can flip your website to all the different types of color blindness.
Mhm.
So it turns the website how someone else would see it. So you can also do that for your banners and make sure that it's readable for everyone, because it's really horrible if you post a banner and it's just black or gray for someone.
Yes.
While with a little bit on the slider, you can avoid it. Right? Pick another color. Yeah, and also ease of reading. Like sometimes the handwritten fonts are look really cool, but
Yeah.
are not that readable for everyone.
Right. No, that's
So
the
that-
thing. Like, especially I've seen so many invites be those cards, and it's got like a beautiful picture and some handwritten stuff, but a humongous percentage of the world actually can't see it at all. And they have no idea what this says, because it might not be captioned, it may not be screen reader accessible. So I've been invited to those kinds of things, and now I'm highly attuned to seeing them and saying, that looks like a cool invite. We need to write what it says below in captions or in some sort of an image description.
Yeah.
So that was the thing.
Exactly, and the same in when you insert images in your Outlook invite or in your
Right.
email invite, you can just add an alt text to the image.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes Outlook and Word make suggestions for you now, like, hey, you want to do this. But yeah, not every email client does that. So that is something you really...
I don't know if you know the history behind how Microsoft created that. They entered in a competition called the No Caps competition. It's run by Facebook. And in that No Caps competition, you have to beat an AI. An AI has to beat a human to caption an image. And what they did is they took all of their AI expertise and they added it to language. And they created something called the computer vision, which actually won the No Caps competition. And I've got a really nice demo that we can do a little bit later, which means that your Office tools are cleverer than a human when it captions the alt image. And it's in PowerPoint. So if you go in PowerPoint and you go check accessibility in Word, and it will go and look at your image there and say, wow, I'm going to guess what that is, though. And it will guess better than a human being. So that's a little bit of a backstory to how we managed to do image captioning.
I did not know that, and I definitely want to see that at the end, because that is fascinating how something that started as this fun competition has now changed the game for how we can make life easier for people so they don't have to think about it as much. It's like things that happen automatically in the background to make things accessible without it being yet another item on the to-do list of people who are putting on events. That is fantastic. Speaking of events, so before the event, we need an accessible website, we need accessible social media to amplify banners, cards, invites, et cetera, et cetera. But what about during the event? Henk, tell us a little bit about, you have a ton of experience putting on these online events, especially for people who might be deaf, hard of hearing, blind, et cetera. So can you share a little bit of your learning and best practices and such?
Yes. So we have talked about the website, but on every website there is the actual video stream. And that video stream you can also make more accessible. And I want to focus now on the people who are hard of hearing or deaf, and talking a little bit about the 3 different things you can do to help those people understand the completeness of your event. So we can do that with 3 things. We can add closed captions. like the things you will see on Learn TV, you can enable them. On YouTube, you can enable them. And if you have a good player, so you can download a random player and do it, but a good player also should have the ability so that you can change the size of the font, the color of the font, and the background of the font. So some people really like it or need it, that it is like yellow on a very dark background. And one thing you also should remember is if people put captions on, you always want to leave like this little bit below in your video player, so it doesn't go over someone's slides or over someone's face. So you push your video a little bit up, like what you see in the player on YouTube now. If you enable it, it should just go in that box under it. The second thing you can do is getting a live transcriptor.
Right.
So you can have a person that types the actual transcript of the whole conversation, of the whole series, and then that is mostly available in a different website. So you can basically read with someone that is typing it for you. And that's always a cool feature because people can have that on the iPad,
right,
and connect their reading tools. So let's, for instance, say if you have a vision problem, you can connect your Braille line. I don't know the exact word in English, but in Dutch it is Braille-regel.
Yeah.
Rory will understand.
Yeah.
So you can connect that to your device and actually read with the story. You also have the difference with closed captions to actually have a human or a service created or have an AI created. So of course the obvious choice would be that a human created because they actually get context. Like
my South African accent, which and some of your American accent, Donna, I've noticed. I've tested.
Because that's the hard thing. AI can't capture like what is going on. It just hears that specific thing and it starts to type it. So that is always better. But I have a demo a little bit later on where we can actually have AI generated captions, because it is always good to have some, and the captions and that Azure Media Service is generating are pretty well. That are also the captions we have on our Learn TV player.
Okay.
So three things. Talk about closed caption, if you want that. Talk about live transcripts. Or the third thing, adding sign language.
Right.
So
sign language, here's one takeaway, and I'm going to ask you like a ton of questions about sign language because you've been adding sign language to events all year. And that is a thing I've learned from you is there's a lot of intricacies there. But one thing I'm realizing with both live captions and sign language is you actually need to prepare kind of early with what's being talked about and prepare your interpreter, whether they're doing the live captions writing or they're doing sign language, right? It can't be, hey, show up, no context on what we're talking about, trying to reflect, because they're always going to be behind by like a minute or so if they have zero preparation.
Yeah, and we also have to realize that we talk about things that are familiar for us.
Right.
And we talk a lot of Azure services that have like weird names. For us, very normal, but for anyone else, it's like
something weird.
No.
like
like what is it? How do you sign Power Apps and those kind of things? So and what is it actually?
Right.
So that's really useful to have to give the sign language interpreters the context around it.
That's right, especially with our amazing acronyms. So we'll be like, use CDS with the flow to tap into. People are like, what is CDS? What is the flow? What are these words? What is wrong with you? So you're right. We have to prepare them with a little bit of context on what these things even mean.
Yeah. So last Saturday we were running a student conference.
Yeah.
About AI. So there were a lot of very specific words in it.
Yes.
So and it were 16 sessions. So it was 8 hours of AI content.
Okay.
So what we did like a week before, people had to submit their like draft presentation.
Yeah.
People have to realize it doesn't have to be like the final thing.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to remember the whole presentation and it's like, okay, you changed that slide. That is not the case, but having an early draft of your presentation will just give context and give some confidence about what is going on in the stream. And you usually need a team.
Yeah.
Also for this 1 hour episode, you need two people that switch every 15 minutes.
Okay, so let's talk about sign language a little bit. So you taught me many things. One, it's not a sign language translator, it's an interpreter, because you're interpreting verbal to nonverbal, nonverbal to verbal, which is interpretation, not translation. So that was one important thing I didn't know. Second, you're talking about just for an hour set. First, let's go back a little. Sorry for being random. Sign language is not bilanguage. So that was interesting. There's ASL, American Sign Language, BSL, British Sign Language. So tell us a little bit about this. That I found to be a very interesting topic.
Yeah. So it is like any language.
Mm-hmm.
For some languages there are like rules. Like American Sign Language is an actual language. But what we're seeing here in the stream, or what I mostly use, is because we're talking to a very big international audience, is interpretation into international sign. So that is a language. There is a very cool definition about it. Let me actually look it up before I say it wrong. And I should have had that open. I was not very well prepared.
It's fine.
So, yeah, I don't want to be wrong. That's for sure. So international sign, or in short IS, is constructed by combining common elements and lexicon signs from different sign languages. International sign is used in a variety of different contexts, particularly at international meetings and informally when traveling and socializing. International sign is a term used by the World Federation of Deaf and other international organizations. Deaf people typically know one sign language. Signers from different countries may use international signs spontaneously with each other with relative success. The communication success is linked to various of factors. First, people who sign international sign have a certain amount of shared contextual knowledge. Secondly, signers may take advantage of shared knowledge of a spoken language, such as English. Thirdly, communication is made easier by the use of iconic signs and visual resources.
Mm. So, Rory, did you know this? I did not know that. I learned it just now.
So I once tried to teach an AI sign language, and in that I wanted to teach an Alexa robot because I don't like these digital assistants. They never understand my accents. I thought, let me try to teach it rather with sign language. So you can get models that teach sign language. The problem is that they tell you American Sign Language, which I thought, no, I'm not American. And then I had to go through this investigation. So eventually I created my own sign language through very basic processes, just with, nouns, verbs, and everything. I'd say like, Rory wants you to stop, like that. And then I did that in front of a couple of thousand people. I spoke to Werner Vogels, the CTO of Amazon. I caught him in a business flight and I said, watch this. And I showed him all of that. And so to me, sign language was always interpretation and gave me the ability to be able to broadly approach a very wide audience.
So I find this whole conversation to be fascinating. And I've interrupted Henk like 6 times during this because I'm very excited about this. So you were saying that for an hour stream, like what we're doing now, you can't have only one interpreter. So tell us a little bit about that, Henk.
Yeah. So you need to have 2, at least for an hour. They switch. And the best one, if your system can actually support it, that the team can do it by themselves. Because otherwise, as a producer, you can imagine every 15 minutes you have to watch for a signal that you can actually switch it. So because you can't make it like automatically, like 15 minutes, we're going to switch and put an AI to it. That's not going to work. So you, as a producer, you have to watch constantly. So that's what I did for the first few series, and they were actually somewhere like 12 hours long. And there were 4 sign language interpreters, because the longer your event is. Last Saturday we had 3, and that was way too long for 3 persons to do that. It would have been better if we had 4. So what I created is a dashboard where they can click on a button and then they go live themselves in the stream. So they click on the name and tap, and it switches. So that's pretty handy.
No.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It works, as you can see in this video. But as a producer, you can actually do a lot to make things go smooth and make things go easy. So having an easy setup, that is one of the things. It shouldn't be hard for people to join the meeting, because you can imagine with all this online conferences where they get invited, everyone is having a different system. So you want to make it as easy as possible to join. For us, it is just go to a website, they have a password, they log in, go to the panel, and that's it. And then we can add it to any stream. Now, another thing to remember is that not all systems are flexible, because the size and the location where the sign language interpreter is in the stream matters. And there is done a lot of research about it, where the best place is and how it should look. So the latest research is that it has to be on the left side of the program, and that it is best if there is a white border around it. It can be a square, because it's not necessary to have like this amount of space, and then nicely zoomed in. So that is the latest research, and you basically want to have it like, what is it, a quarter to a third of the screen, so it is really visible. Otherwise, it is also really exhausting to look at. And there's so many things what matter in sign language. It are the hands, the fingers, the facial expression. Everything counts. So you want to have that at a stable position. So what we do at Build, I think we offer even 2 streams. We offer one stream without sign language, and then there is the button in our player that will actually load.
Turn it on.
Basically what we're doing now for this stream.
Yeah. At Ignite, it was the same thing, where you can choose captions, you can choose sign language, you can choose both, and you can change the language of the captions.
Yeah.
And that way you've got coverage. And I love how you talk about, it's not just having sign language for your session, and it's not just about having captions. It's an and, because people consume information in different ways. And someone with any sort of hearing concerns may not actually know a sign language. So that's one assumption that I learned from listening to your sessions. So thank you. Speaking of captions and transcript, tell us a little bit more about captions and transcripts for events, like during the event itself.
So it depends on your platform, what you're going to use. For transcripts, you can put an AI on it, but you can also put a human capture, human service on it. So you can just find them on the internet. There are many. But what you want to do is actually do a test with them, because I've tried a few and they differ really in quality. And especially for our context, it differs. And it also differs really much in price. For captions, we can do it automated, or we can have a service where you basically send your stream to. They add captions to the stream, and they send it back to you, so you can send it wherever you want. How our setup now is working, we're doing it with sign language. We are in StreamYard. We don't see the sign language interpreters. But StreamYard is sending it to our service. We pick up this stream and put the sign language next to it, and then send the stream to YouTube. Normally, you would be in StreamYard and send your stream directly to YouTube. So Teams, if you do your event in Teams, a lot of things are handled for you, because in the latest updates, we have this new that you can pin people in a more accessible way, so that you can actually pin your sign language interpreter at the place you want, which is viewable even when someone is sharing the slides. Because in the older teams like 2 months ago teams, it is very small in the bottom and it is not really visible. But now they have moved it to the right side of Teams, and now you have in the top, you can pin the sign language interpreter.
Oh.
And the update was rolled out today, so I was very happy to see it.
Yay! Great news. I'm gonna go check that out. I didn't know.
Yeah. There is still a challenge of switching sign language interpreters. I haven't tested that part, but I think if they put the camera on and off and you pin them all three, it will work.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so what if someone doesn't want to use Teams? They want to use like this cool platform that Rory has made accessible. What then? Yeah. Is there some sort of a thing?
Yes, exactly. So what I wanted to demonstrate is how we can use Azure Media Services. So Azure Media Services is a streaming service we have in Azure, and it has been there already for a long time. So I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure Rory is hardcore expert of Azure Media Services, so I'll be excited to hear his take on this after. Here you go. Okay.
So here we are. So everything always starts at docs. And this doc really explains very well how this system works. So basically what we're doing is, most people will be familiar with YouTube. And if you want to go live on YouTube, you create an event. You stream to that event from a system called OBS, maybe. I have here loaded with some videos. Go on, play it. Here's some videos, and we're going to stream this video. So what we need to do is create a live event. There are two ways how you can do that. And that is important to remember, because with Azure Media Services, you can configure everything. Like out-of-the-box streaming platforms do most of it for you, but here you have to be very specific what you want. So if you send your stream to, you can choose that Azure Media Services doesn't touch your stream. It just passes it through. If you have a very powerful machine.
Can you zoom in a little bit in that?
Like this?
Just go down into that graphic there.
Yeah. So I was first talking about these two type of events. Yeah. So,
You're rushing ahead, Rory. I'm like, I want to see the picture. What is it doing? Yeah.
I can understand. So then it doesn't touch your stream. If you have a really good broadcasting setup like Channel 9 that does all the encoding for you, then this is your choice. But I don't have it, and systems like OBS don't have it. So you want to have that it encodes the incoming video stream for multiple bit rates. And why do you want to have that? Like on my big TV, I want to have HD quality. But on my mobile, I have enough like 420p in a lower one. And what this does, and this one, the encoding will encode it for you in 5 or 6 different formats, and your player will choose the best bit rate for your device and for your internet connection. And the difference between these two is that this is up to 720p and this is up to 1080p. So basically at the moment we only want to have this one. So this is the pass-through scenario. I'm going to scroll here and I'm going to go to the live encoding scenario. And can I zoom in better? Yeah, better. So how does it work? This is OBS. We're sending it to our live encoder, and that live encoder makes already a backup for us. It puts it on Azure Storage for us. So that's really fun. And while it is listening, it adds a live transcription for you in the language of your choice. So if I am I'm speaking in Dutch, it can actually transcribe me in Dutch. It does it with all the I'm not going to know how to say that in proper English, but it is going to do it in all the Western languages which have our alphabet, the Western language alphabet. So it is not capable to do it in Chinese or Japanese.
I see.
In those types. So then it sends us to a streaming endpoint. So it has to stream, it is backed up, and then it starts streaming to the endpoint. And the endpoint, you have to scale. You have to choose how many people are actually going to watch my stream. So you have to think ahead. Are we going to run build, or are we going to run a small event? It can all happen. It can spin up like hundreds of endpoints all over the world, connected with CDNs. It's really cool. And then it has this your content in all kind of different formats which your players can consume. And then finally, you can also make it that it is licensed, your content. So they have to log in or pay something, or they have to send a token to it so it can come back. So here we are at the player. So I think for 37 minutes, we are at 37. I can do that in 5 minutes to set this one up. So here we are in the Azure portal. You need to have Azure subscription. You can click create media service. We create a new research group. We say reactor, Azure media service, research group. We give it a name, reactor, Azure media service. That is already in use, of course. Service. Which one would it be? The name is already on use, or the dashes are not allowed?
The dashes.
Henk test number 7. They're like, Henk, we already tested this 7 times.
Yeah, we will just create a new storage device here. Azure Media Service. It's still free. We don't need the classic APIs here. Select this one. We don't need any identity. Yes, we have all the rights. And we create the service. So now the service will be created. And let's hope it will create very soon. Because it is now creating a blob storage device. It's creating endpoints. It's creating the whole service for us. So that's always the awkward moment that you have to wait before Azure is done.
You know, we're like, come on, cajole Azure.
If everyone can switch their internet off, their Netflix, their streaming services, their BitTorrent, everything.
I know. Everyone, it's processing.
Yes, it's good. But it has created, so this was actually very fast. So there are a lot of things you can do in Azure Media Service, but I just want to focus on the live streaming events. So here we can go, we can say add event, we say this is our test event, we want to have premium encoding, we're using a default preset. You can actually choose how it should be encoded. You can choose how what aspect ratio of your video will be. Keyframes, the default value is 2, mostly you want to have 1. Then you specify how you want to have your input. So RTMP is mostly what you use if you're using OBS. You can choose for a static host name or a random generated host name, and if your event should auto start or stop. So that is one important thing when you're doing Azure Media Services is your live stream, you have to start it manually. before it starts working. It is not like you start streaming and it magically starts working. No, you have to start it before. We have all the rights, and we say review and create our live event. Here it is starting, and if we click on it, when it is started, it is already running, and when it is started, you have to pay for it.
Oh.
You want to stop it in time. So here you can find your ingest URL. There is even a backup site, so you can stream with 2 machines to it. As a backup, it will. If one machine crashes, the other one can take it over, and the stream will automatically mix. So that is really good. So I'm copying the input URL. I go to settings in OBS. I go to stream. I'll add my endpoint. This is the streaming key. Say OK. I start streaming. I'll play the video. So here we see it's detected something. It takes mostly 30 to 40 seconds for the first bit to be encoded, and then it starts playing because there is always a delay in the stream. So you also always have that with starting up. So here we see it is now coming in.
It's working.
So it is here.
You did
so
it.
Now
right here.
it is, yeah. But now it is only here, and we want to have it on our website.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
first we're going to say.
What? You don't want everyone logging into your Azure service? That's weird.
No, I don't want. So these are all the.
Hank's Azure service test reactor. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that will not work. So here we can test. We can enable live captions. So now we say, oh yes, add some live captions to it. And now our service is here, and now we have to push it to our endpoint. So I say create new output. I want to have a rewind window of 8 hours. What do I have to do here? You need to have this that will tell you where it can find the stream. And now it is generating for us. We have to start our endpoint first. So I didn't start our endpoint, so we don't have anywhere. We can get the stream in, but we can't send the stream out. So let me go here and go to outputs, streaming endpoints. So outputs and endpoints, almost the same. And here is where you can scale. So I'm using a standard output, which you can also hook up a CDN from Akamai or Verizon on it. And you can, under settings, you can scale also. You can go to a premium endpoint, and a premium endpoint you can scale for millions and millions of viewers. So our endpoint is started. Our test event is running. So this is the input, here is the output. So I can copy the URL.
Oh, then you can just put it in.
And now you need to have a player. So we have the Azure Media Player.
Yeah.
I can put in the URL. I say update player. And now we're going to probably get some weird echo if I don't mute this tab. Have to wait a little bit. This is actually not the endpoint. You have to Control-C, Control-V, right. And here we see we have our captions in the Azure Media Player.
That is so.
Can I please have whatever beta blocker you just took to be able to do that without shaking? Or that was one of the most impressive demos I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. That was a very impressive demo because first, I don't know what magic went on here to make it actually happen in under 5 minutes versus the hour and a half it usually takes me to wrangle with this. So great job. Very nice.
So, and then what you can do is you can just say, get embed code and embed this player on your website, or you can code it yourself. So you can add some more statistics. You can add application insights to it. So you can actually see how many people are currently watching, how long people are watching, and so on.
This is so cool, Hank. I did not know that. I've learned, I think, more than the audience today. Just letting everyone know. Okay, so hard question. This is if you were proactive, you actually planned ahead, and you remember to do captions and transcripts during the event. But Rory, what if we forgot? What if you're me and you forget to do it? Is there any saving the day?
So first of all, well done, Hank. So what you can do also is you can add Immersive Reader to any of your websites. So I've got a nice little demo. I've got Immersive Reader. And second of all, I want to show you how to do before the fact with video captionings. I don't know if this is the point of the session, but I want to show you how to do that. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I want to put on hopefully the audio here. Don't know, some screens are to share audio. Let's see, may not be able to do audio here, and no, so you might not be able to hear it. So I'm going to share my screen, and I've got something called Immersive Reader. So if you've got a live site there and you want to give them some content there, so you can see this is an HTML site, and in that HTML site, I've just coded a little, like what Henk did with the Immersive Reader service here. I've coded a little JavaScript here that will call up a Immersive Reader, launch it, and go straight to the API, the Immersive Reader cognitive service. And then I've got the text here. So Immersive Reader is a tool that implements proven technologies. And you can click on Immersive Reader there, and Immersive Reader then will go to the cognitive services, similar to what Hank did with media services. And now you've got Immersive Reader. Now Immersive Reader is the exact same Immersive Reader you get in Teams and OneNote. You've got Edge and a lot of activities. What Immersive Reader does is that you can change your text preferences. You can change, so let's go through increased spacing. Well, if you want to do Sataka or Comic Sans, not Comic Sans. Who uses Comic Sans?
Why is that there? We need to...
You can also go syllables, so neurodiversity. You can switch on nouns, show labels. You can click on the word. You can read the word back to you. But more importantly, you can actually go line focus for ADHD, autism. You can do picture dictionary, and you can change the language. So I'm going to go to Spanish, which is actually the world's most spoken language here. So let's go Spanish, Spain, and you can translate by word or document. You can translate the entire document there, and now you can read it. I don't know if I'll be able to read it here, but I don't know if you hear that though, but it's reading to me in Spanish. So you can provide that service for you, and you can go to nearly any language. We have 63 different languages right there, and you can pop it on your website, and you can give people the original or the Spanish and enable them to look at your content with Immersive Reader on their website. So this is another way that if they're looking at website, if you're changing content there, you can use Immersive Reader to do that. And the second thing I wanted to show you is I've got a really nice demo. So I'm not as fancy as Hank, but I've got no, not that one. Let's go here. Oh, I wanted to go to, there we go. So I took our video that we had, there's Dion and Rory and Hank, and I popped the video into here, and this is Video Indexer. And what Video Indexer does, it uses a very similar technology, except you can go into your timeline of your service there, and you can actually see the captions that they're doing there. So instead of saying Q, so you can, it actually follows it here. So I'm going to just make that a little bit softer here. And as you do the captions, you can switch on captions. Let's go English. And you'll see there that I did the little quotation marks there. You can go caption there. And it will follow, you can go auto scroll on, it will follow the captions there. Now, what is nifty about this, you can download those captions into closed captions, and you can pop them onto your application, your viewer applications, VTT. So this is a great way to create PowerPoint applications and embedded videos, Word and websites. You can download, include the audio effects. You can download that, pop it onto their website, onto your events videos, and when they watch an event and a video there, you can get all of that. But it goes even further. You on the insights, you get, let's see, Donna appeared in 62% of the video. Rory appeared, Henk 45%, and of course Rory appeared in let's go. Ooh, didn't even pick me up. So let's go there. Let me refresh. Rory doesn't even exist apparently.
Where's
to this.
Rory?
There's Rory there. And why does Rory not have a name? So I'm going to change Rory's name there. And then you can change it to there. And you can actually see where Henk is. So Henk wasn't there. You can see where Henk is. You can even see the sentiment, the keywords, the labels, the named entities. So we can go see the emotions. So you can go click on that. And it'll say there, that emotion is, I'm not too sure there, joy. That's Henk being joyful. So we can go straight to, we can go straight to where Henk is joyful, where Don is surprised. And this is all features that Video Indexer gives you. And this uses media services there to take and consume and ingress, similar to what Henk showed you, and get that content really in a way that you can display that with your live services using Video Indexers. I showed you Immersive Reader. You can make your event accessible and cater for WCAG 2.1 AA compliance. And then you can also use Video Indexer and get that nice little timeline and have all of the ability to go in and edit. So I can go, hold on 1 second. I can go in there and I can go in, it doesn't have view, but I can go in there and edit that. But there's a lot more features that you can play around with it. And that's just what I wanted to show you. A little bit bolt-on, but it gives you the ability if you don't have Azure Media Services. And Donna, you did ask me to have an experience with Azure Media Services, and I do. And now when COVID hit, everyone was starting to use it, but they were going very small funnel instead of a large funnel. And a lot of them were running into problems because they hadn't tested the funnel size. And instead of going large funnel, which is a little bit more expensive, they'll go small funnel and it would kind of just bomb on it. So you do need to do a test to see exactly how big the funnel is that you need.
Okay, this is fascinating. I had no idea that that existed. Also, that jumping to certain points in the video and then seeing the sentiment, that is cool. It's good for us event organizers to just reflect back and think about, like, how can we make this event more inclusive, more energy, less energy, et cetera, et cetera. So that is fascinating, not just for people watching, but for those of us so we can do better next time. Really cool. I have learned so many things today that, by the way, we did not rehearse this. These two amazing people put these demos together, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to see it because I want to be surprised. I'm super surprised. So when we do the sentiment, this is like a lot of surprised because Donna is surprised. Still, Donna is really impressed that this exists. Donna's like, schemes, so many things we can use this for. This is so cool. So both of you, what are some major learnings you've had through putting on these accessible events? Just like life lessons, pro tips for the audience.
Okay, let's go. Let's ask Henk first.
Hey.
Let's ask me first. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so for me, it was all those lessons with adding sound languages, adding captions, creating an accessible platform. How do you actually do that? What do you check for? I did that a long time ago, but I had to redo that, everything. And then also those things you realize later on, like, why didn't I add captions to that banner? Or why did I pick those colors? And it is, for me, I only learned those things when somebody said to me, like, hey, Henk, did you think of that? Or you can make it better? Yeah, that is so much. It even goes for when you ask your presenters your slides before and you go through it. There are a lot of slides also very inaccessible, like either too much text, wrong colors, and so on. Or even when people are using demos, giving demos, like I also had to remember that I had to zoom more so that everyone could read it. Yeah. There is so much to win to make your presentation great for everyone. So preparation always works, especially when you want to produce an event and you own the event. Then make sure that you plan for it. For the last event, what we did was we got all the speakers together and organized the speaker training. It was given by Emma Burstow. She works as a cloud advocate at Umbraco. And she gave a speaker training with like 10 to 20 tips for all the new speakers, because we can't expect from student ambassadors that are just starting their learning journey and starting presenting to know all those things. And it worked. They all did all the tips were implemented in almost everyone's presentation and session. It was really great to see, but you need to make time and plan things to do that. And if you don't do it as a producer or owner of the event, nobody's going to do it for you.
Right.
I agree. Okay, so what I learned from this session, and something I want to give to others, is that with accessibility, sometimes your audience that you think that you're catering for, you solve for one, you extend to many, and we covered that in inclusive design in the first session. One thing that I do when I watch videos, because sometimes I get a little bit jittery and I get a little bit bored, I put the captions on and I put the speed very fast, and I watch it very quickly. And it occurred to me that I watch it better that way. So I start to gravitate towards people who have done proper captioning on videos, but I don't have hearing or vision issues around that. It's just, it enables me to watch it better. And that really is the crux of accessibility, that it's for everyone. It enables innovation, and it enables your audience to really choose how they prefer to watch your content. And you need to give them options, not just one visual representation of the video that they're watching or the event that they're watching, but the ability to customize it and make them feel that they were thought of, to make sure that they're included, and also that the people who created that content really cared about their own experience.
Right. That is so true, both of you. The thing I've learned from these sessions we've been doing, but also just learning about accessible events, is one, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's no reason you're going to know all this information if you've never organized an accessible event. It is absolutely okay if you've never ever done it. Reach out, ask for help. There are so many people willing to help, because those of us who work with accessibility tools, we actually want more people to use them. It's not like we want less people to use them. So if people reach out saying, hey, can you go into a little bit more about how you turn on Immersive Reader here, or how do you program for Immersive Reader, which I thought was very fascinating. Any one of us, and so many people in the accessibility community, are more than happy to help you make your event better for more people. It's the best thing we can be doing. And the second one I've learned from listening to both of you is, you are going to mess up. And it's okay, because it's how you learn. You do this and realize, should have had captions. Now I'm thinking back to all these videos I've made thinking, did I have captions? Am I talking too fast for the captions to pick up? Why didn't we have sign language for that event? Now, and I'm going back through every event I've done for the last year and a half thinking, oh, why didn't I do this? But the best thing we can do is move forward and do better next time. So I think we've all learned a ton of stuff. Speaking of, the third and final part of our series, we are actually going to put everything you've seen into play to actually put on an accessible event. So next Wednesday, the Ability Summit is on. So everyone should be tuning into Ability. Just go look up Ability Summit Microsoft, register. There's some fascinating sessions in there. There's one around the science of mental health that I'm particularly interested in. But on May 12th, we will be back with part 3, where we will be putting on an accessible event with guests, showcasing all of these tools we've used to actually put on something real that all of you can learn from and participate in. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to the Microsoft Reactor for hosting us with this event. This session was recorded, like all Reactor sessions, and we had captions on that are available to you in multiple different languages. Thank you so much, audience, for joining us, and we can't wait to see you back here in 2 weeks. See you then. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.